On this week's episode, we preview the rest of the year in video games. Do we prefer a new Terminator or Top Gun? And what advice can we give for your last-minute fantasy football draft? All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. Yes, we're back once again. It's the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you listening to all of our great programs. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos. It wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He is the man with the plan when it comes to Humanica Media. You got to check out all the great things going on with Humanica Media today, including their awesome podcast, Topicocalypse, now available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and so many other outlets. It's my good friend, the original Kings fan. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
Yeah, no Ducks fans here. Kings all the way.
Although I told you before, I truly enjoy the pond whenever I get a chance to go to it because I think that is a beautiful building. Even though, yes, you know, if you don't like the Ducks, then yeah.
It is a beautiful building, and from where I live, it's a lot easier to get to than the Staples Center. But if I have a bargain on some Kings tickets, I will make the drive to Los Angeles.
Have fun on the freeways, or should I say the slowways? Hope you got your actual the what is it, the pass that you need to go through to get through all the, you know, for the one that you go on the side on the lane, not the HOV lane, because there's you know, in California. Pardon?
Fast track is what we're talking about. I just make
that's right.
Drive. You know, I make someone else drive and I buy them a beer when we get there and we're all good.
There you go. Because you need fast track. HOV, the carpool lane, that's not going to help you out when you go to Southern California. It is definitely a fast track kind of crowd. But we definitely got a great episode we've got for you today. Coming up here in a little bit, we've got Rob McCallum in the middle of the Cosmic Crossfire as he goes ahead and grills me on what movie I want to see more. Do I want to see the Terminator movie that's coming out, or do I want to see the Top Gun movie called Maverick? Which one do I want to see first? Because both have had scheduled changes, one for the worse and one for the better. So we talk about both those movies and which one we would like to see more of. We talk about that in the middle of the Cosmic Crossfire. Also, as well, we've got Tyler Baker coming up later in the podcast from the Fantasy Football Pater podcast. He is going to talk a little bit about some last-minute tips for your last-minute fantasy football draft, a little bit of things to key in on, and some things that he wants you to prep for before you go ahead into your season, which we'll talk about on our next episode. But first, we've got a lot of things going on when it comes to our previews for the next few weeks. We're going to be talking about previews of your favorite video games, of movies, of TV shows, of streaming. We're going to be doing a little bit of previews here and there on our next few episodes, so we can't wait to talk about that. But it all starts today with a preview of the video game scene for the rest of 2018. Josh, you're here with me, my friend, to talk some video games. I know you love video games, my friend, so this is something right up your alley, isn't it?
I hate video games. What are you talking about? I don't get this. What's going on?
Yeah. Right. What's that behind? I see. What is that? An Xbox One right there?
It's a whole bookshelf full of the very things that I hate.
Exactly. So, and I talked to Elijah Harrison, aka Plasma Z, the other day. He's got a Monster Beast for a PC that he wanted to show off to me late last night, as far as what he's got going on. So he can play a lot of games going on.
So Master Race.
Exactly. Well, there you go. As far as he's got a lot of stuff going on, not only for his music, but for Call of Duty, Destiny, and the whole 9 yards. So I know that got a conversation again coming up with him soon because he requested for it as far as that's concerned. So, but it is our preview of the video game scene here in 2018. We're going to start off with September. September's coming up right now. coming up as scheduled as of now. Obviously, it's as you know, especially if you're a Battlefield fan, it's going to change a little bit, and we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the episode. In September, we've got Zone of the Enders, the second runner, coming up on the 4th. Also, as well, Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age. Shadows Awakening is also coming up on the 4th. Genesis Alpha 1, God Wars, The Complete Legend, and Destiny 2 Forsaken. They're all coming up on the 4th. You've got Yokai Watch, Blasters, Red Cat Corps, and White Dog Squad coming up on the 7th. NBA Live 19, that's also coming up on the 7th. And NASCAR Heat 3, which I know you have had a lot to deal with over the course of the past few months. We've actually sat down and broken down NASCAR Heat 3 to NASCAR Heat 2. And you've also have interviews with the developers as well on your Humanica Media YouTube page. That game is coming out on the 7th. And probably the most notable game on there, sorry, all respect to NBA 2K19 and NBA Live 19, which are also coming out that day. But Spider-Man, the exclusive for PlayStation 4, Insomniac's new game, is coming out on the 7th as well. SNK Heroines 9/7 as well. Tag Team Frenzy, Immortal Unchained. So September 7th is going to be a huge day for video games with a whole ton of releases there. Then you got on the 11th, you've got V-Rally 4, Mercenaries Saga Chronicles. Those two games are coming out on the 11th. Then on the 14th, you've got Nintendo Labo, the vehicle kit, so you can go driving around and whatnot. Well, the best you can in cardboard, that is. NHL 19 comes out on the 14th. Black Clover Quartet Nights, that's coming out on the 14th. And what we talked about on a previous episode, you want to check it out check out one of our most recent episodes on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all those podcast channels. On one of our most recent episodes, we went into detail on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which also comes out on the 14th. Then you've got Cat Quest, that's coming out on the 18th. Legendary Fishing, Scribblenauts Mega Pack, those are coming out on the 18th as well. Then finally, to round out the month, you've got Xenoblade Chronicles 2 coming out on the 21st. Metal Max Xeno on the 25th, Moonlighter on the 25th, Valkyria Chronicles 4 on the 25th, Punchline on the 25th, Jake Hunter Ghost of the Dusk on the 28th, and FIFA 19, which is going to be another massively huge title for Electronic Arts. That ends the month on the 28th as well. So covering all that for you, my friend, on September, what titles seemingly stand out for you the most in a positive fashion that really could take the month of September and take it strong?
What's a great question. All right, so I'm going to go down this list here and tell you what I have plans on playing and what I would like to play but probably won't play. All right, so Dragon Quest XI, I would love to play it. I have friends who are playing it. Eric from the Super BS Games cast is playing it, and I have heard nothing but great things about it. Unfortunately, I probably won't have time to dive into it as much as I would like to. First, going down the list, I have pre-ordered Spider-Man, and I am going to play it next week, and I am super excited about it. I love the
Oh, you pre-ordered it, huh? Kind of funny.
I did. Well, basically, I was in GameStop and I was doing their used game sale, and they're like, "Hey, you want to pre-order anything?" And I'm like, I'm probably gonna pick this up anyway, so why not? So
check out the comments he had on our last show. If pre-ordering is still is dead,
it's making me contradict myself. But yeah,
yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I'm gonna pick it up. It'll be fun. Hopefully, I really loved Web of Shadows, and I'm hoping that if what I'm hearing about this game is true, it's gonna have that kind of same open world dynamic. And from what I understand, it's actually a really long game. But my hope is that you could play through it probably in about 40 hours. I've been following some of the reviews, and I'm hopeful that it's not going to be something that's over like 50 hours because there's a lot of games coming out. September kicks off gaming season officially, and I just got to make sure I'm done with everything I'm playing by the time some of these bigger titles come out. All right, so Bastion on Nintendo Switch. I have never played it. I've heard great things, and I do want to play it. Have you played it?
No, I've not. I've seen quite a bit of footage though on it, and I've heard nothing but really solid things on it as well. And it's just a point where, yes, the Nintendo Switch right now seemingly is a or has become very much a port machine. But that's what happens when you have a newer unit come to the marketplace after these games come to PC and PS4 and Xbox One. It's just a migration and another form of revenue for these companies. But that doesn't mean that these games aren't great, and they still will hopefully perform great once they go on that platform. So I definitely think is something that people should look out for. And hey, it's there to benefit Switch owners. If you liked it before, or if it's something like you said you want to dive into at this point in time, there's no better time to do it than on your Switch coming up, because all these games will seem very fresh for those who haven't given these games a try already.
Well, let me give you my thoughts here on, as far as older games go, if I'm going to add it to my back catalog. I love the idea of being able to take it on the go because I don't have to sit there in front of my console and waste precious hours. I could be spending on something like, Red Dead 2 or Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Spider-Man, what have you. If it's something that if it's an old game and I'm going to take the time out of my schedule to play it, I like the idea of being able to play it, in between the work hours or while I'm traveling up to, Bass Lake or Sacramento or whatever it is. I like the idea of just being able to pull out the Nintendo Switch and playing it. So I was telling someone the other day, I'm currently playing Elder Scrolls Skyrim on the Nintendo Switch, but since I've already played it 3 times, what I did was I switched the difficulty down to easy, and I'm currently going through all of the dungeons that I have never been through before. So I'm kind of taking a new experience, but I'm ditching the frustration of having played it on the original consoles.
And Bethesda keeps on thank you for your continued contributions to that 7-year-old game.
True, true. All right, so Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we talked about. I am going to play it September 14th. I played the other two, loved them both. I'm hoping that Eidos Montreal kind of takes responsibility for whatever happens with the game and that they produce something great. Uh, Other than that, Life is Strange 2 is the other one that I'm looking forward to. I really enjoyed the Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, and so that Chris would be back in Life is Strange 2. I don't know when because judging by the trailer, it does not have Chris in it. But I love the idea. I like these games that are kind of like choose your own adventure novels. You get put in a situation and you explore your surroundings and you get to choose how the game is going to play out. That's what I love about Life is Strange 2. And I like Life is Strange 1. It was by the time I realized how great it was, it's kind of too old and I was already playing other games, but this is exciting to me because I like the idea of starting over fresh and being able to experience this at the same time as everybody else. So I love that. Dragon Ball Fighters, maybe. I haven't quite made up my mind on that, but as far as September goes, that's kind of what I'm interested in.
With me, I know for a fact that Destiny 2 Forsaken is coming out, but for those who haven't delved into Destiny 2, hey, guess what? On the PlayStation and the PlayStation Plus owners, it is a free game for the next month. So if you get a chance, download it today. The actual base game is free up until, I believe, the beginning of October. You want to check that out if you are a PlayStation Plus member for the PlayStation 4 and what have you, because they want you to go ahead and get prepped up for Destiny 2 Forsaken. I understand that it's similar to what it was similar to what Ubisoft did with For Honor last month for the Xbox One and Xbox One. So I tell you what, that's fine. It's a free game. I like it, and the fact that if you like it so much, and Destiny 2 was a great experience for you, hey, Forsaken comes out right there at the beginning of the month, so you could go ahead and add that on to that free Destiny 2 game. But to me also as well, I am targeting Spider-Man as far as being a very, very interesting game. I heard a lot of advanced reviews are very positive on it. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we've discussed that on a previous episode. You want to check that out. Our extended thoughts on Shadow of the Tomb Raider and what its hopes for success and the realities of being the third iteration in this trilogy. Is this going to close out on a strong note, or is it going to be something that might disappoint? It is a new studio handling it. That's not always the best of signs. So you want to check out our thoughts in its entirety on our last week's, I believe, PCC Multiverse to give you an idea what we thought of the game in full. But this is the biggest month of the year, I think, for Electronic Arts. Not only do you have NHL 19, you have your biggest game probably in your arsenal, FIFA 19, coming out at the end of this month. And if it does anything, it's probably a do or die situation. Maybe not. They have money to spend. But NBA Live 19, which has been an inferior game compared to NBA 2K19 for so long now, it's at some point in time that they have to go ahead and make a substantial move that's better, that's substantially better than what they have been doing. There's been even a point in time where they've actually canceled a year game and taken a year off so they try to make the product better, and they've still yet to make it as compelling as NBA 2K19, even with all of NBA 2K19's issues with microtransactions and things of that nature. It's still not been able to close the gap enough. Will that happen this year? I'd be interested to find out, but this is definitely one of the biggest months of the year, if not the biggest for Electronic Arts, because they've got 3 games, and don't sleep on NHL 19 because that's always been a very solid title for them. Got to check that out if you're a sports fan, because this is the month for you. Coming up in October, we've got a lot of releases. Again, it is a big month. In fact, many are pointing to this month with almost like a murderer's row of a lot of games coming out that people need to be made aware of. We've got Mega Man 11 coming up on the 2nd of October. Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise coming up on the 2nd. Mutant Football League, the Dynasty Edition, that's coming up on the 2nd. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey is also coming up on October 2nd. That's a big title, along with Forza Horizon 4 on the same date. So October 2nd is really going to be a big day for gaming as well. On the 5th, you have WWE 2K19, Super Mario Party, and don't sleep on that, because our good friends at Mario Party Wars would tell you not to sleep on that game because it might be very good. On the 9th, you have Senra Kugura Burst Renewal at the Seams Edition, Disgaea 1 Complete, Goosebumps the Game. Those 3 games are coming out on the 9th. On the 12th, you've got Luigi's Mansion, Bendy and the Ink Machine, World's End With You, the final remix, and Call of Duty Black Ops 3. That is going to be a big day for video games as well, especially when there's a new Call of Duty, which is changing from its traditional November release, moving up for a lot of different reasons. One of which is we're going to be talking about here in just a second, with that's coming out later in the month. There was also a point in time that week that Battlefield 5 was going to be released on that same week, but it was just announced that they are moving back. They're actually delaying the game until November, so we'll cover that in the November part of our episode today. Monstrum is coming out on the 16th, Lego DC Super Villains, Warriors Orochi, Rapala Pro Series, Big Buck Hunter Arcade, Starlink Battle for Atlas. Those are all coming out on the 16th. Then on the 19th, you've got Soul Calibur 6, Space Hulk Tactics. Those are coming out on the 19th. On the 23rd, you've got Paw Patrol on a Roll, Paw Patrol on a Roll, and that's a game I know Josh is really keying in on. Just Dance 2019, that's another game I know he's keying in on. And then also Project High Rise Architect Edition, Crayola Scoot, and those games are coming out on the 23rd. But the biggest game of the year is coming out on the 26th of October, Red Dead Redemption 2. Everybody's clearing the way for it. It's just going to be a tremendous hit. You know, when there's a Rockstar release, everybody takes notice. And I think the video game industry will take notice when it comes out on the 26th. So everybody's almost breathless with anticipation for that one. Also on the 26th, My Hero One's Justice and Nero, Nothing Ever Remains Obscure. That's almost going to be like a trivia question. What games came out the same day as Red Dead Redemption 2? Everspace on the 30th, their Galactic Edition, Crystal Crisis, the launch edition, SNK 40th Anniversary Collection, Steven Universe, Save Light, Let's Play Heroes, Steven Universe, Save Light, and OKKQ, Let's Play Heroes. That's coming out on the 30th. Salt and Sanctuary, the Drowned Tome Edition, and Deathmark. That comes out on the 31st. Salt and Sanctuary comes out on the 30th. So it's a big month, my friend. Not as many huge releases once you get past it as far as in the first week. There's only a couple more huge releases that come out the rest of the month. But boy, those are going to be a couple big whoppers because you got Assassin's Creed coming out on the 2nd, Forza Horizon 4, and WWE 2K19. They all come out within a few days of each other. Super Mario Party might be a surprise seller on the Switch, but after that, everybody's going to be keying in on the 12th with Call of Duty Black Ops 3 and what's going to go on with their Battle Royale mode and the ditching of the campaign. And of course, everyone's eyes are going to be on how good Rockstar's next game, Red Dead Redemption 2, is going to be. Your thoughts on October, man? It's going to shape up as something really, really something to remember for us gamers.
I think that it's funny that Nintendo is the only company to feel like they can successfully release any games within weeks of Red Dead Redemption, because Red Dead is going to outsell everything. I wouldn't want to be a developer being forced to release anything within, 5 or 6 weeks of that game. But Nintendo has a unique market in the fact that they have a very large niche of players that play Nintendo stuff only, so they don't have to worry about Red Dead, overshadowing some of their releases. But let's go down the list here. Forza Horizon 4. So I am interested in playing this game, but I don't. I'm curious how this is going to work with, instead of the Drivatar functions that they had on the other Horizon games. How is it going to work with having real-time players in the game all the time? Is it like, because in the original Horizon 2, which I'm playing now, you can challenge a Drivatar to a race, but if you have real-time drivers, are they going to try to, what's the trolling situation going to be like? Are they going to be constantly challenging you to races? How is that all going to work? And can you close the game off to people only if you want only your friends to jump in your game, can you close the game off to only your friends? So that's something that's on my mind. I do love the idea of having a live game, kind of like Sea of Thieves, and I love the idea of like the weather system changing all the time. So I'm really keen on seeing how this game turns out, especially since it's rumored that Playground Games, their next game, is going to be a Fable game. So I'm very intrigued on how their open world, you know, open platform game is going to turn out for Forza Horizon 4. So that's definitely on my watch list. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is another one, especially since they said that they're going to be taking 2019 off. So how is Odyssey going to turn out? And from what I understand, they're still making DLC for Origins. So are these games going to tie in? What's the DLC going to be like? How is that option of being able to choose what dialogue you're going to do? How are people going to react to Odyssey? Like, that's what I want to know, because with each Assassin's Creed, especially the new ones, they're introducing more RPG elements into these games, and I'm a huge fan of that. But how is it going to turn out? How's it going to play out? It looks cool in theory, but how are people going to react to it? That's my big question. Super Mario Party, I'm sure you're probably more of an expert on that than I am. I haven't, like we've discussed before, I haven't played a lot of Mario products. I did play the last I played the last Super Mario game, loved it, but I haven't really dived into the other aspects of the Mario games. Call of Duty Black Ops 4, we've talked about this a lot. Is the battle royale genre right for a Call of Duty game? That's the big question everyone has on their mind, especially since Fortnite really just shows no signs of slowing down at the moment. And a lot of people, I love that Battlefield is still advertising the fact that they have a campaign, and it's a very immersive campaign.
But they've strongly hinted that they're going to add in a battle royale at some point in time as well.
Yeah, but in the meantime, they have a campaign that is a it's they have a campaign that is very inclusive too, because they have a rich immersive story that is including women, it's including minorities. Like, they're really cashing in. They can't, in my eyes, Battlefield cannot do anything wrong. Call of Duty has no campaign, so as far as Battlefield's campaign is concerned, they cannot do anything wrong because they have one at this moment and Call of Duty doesn't. And I think that that puts them above and beyond in as far as a single player experience goes. How if they're going to incorporate a battle royale, how they're going to do it, we don't know. But as far as that single player aspect goes, Battlefield is far ahead. Is Call of Duty Black Ops, is their battle royale mode going to do anything, or are people just going to say, "Hey, I'm going to stick with Fortnite"? We don't know. They are bringing back zombies, and that's something that people are very fond of. But again, is it worth the $60 is going to cost to play it, to always have to be online, and to have to shut off whatever battle royale game you're currently playing? Um,
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, those are some great thoughts right there. But I think with Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is definitely going to be a test to see about the future of the Call of Duty franchise, because this is something that they're doing. They're cashing in on the latest craze in gaming. So we're going to see how far that goes at this point in time. So
right,
I'm with you on that. I'm curious to see what is the reception of it, both critically, but most importantly, how commercially successful or not so successful will it be this time around, and will they ditch it next year, whether or not, or will they continue it? Because the fact we'll see how well it does, because if it does very well, they're going to continue on this form and fashion that they will not have a campaign in the Call of Duty games. But if it doesn't perform well, I think that's the first thing they're going to point to, is the fact that they tried to go ahead and cash in on the battle royale genre and it didn't pay off.
well, to me, it's kind of a test to see if the battle royale genre can be incorporated into larger franchises. So can they be incorporated into Call of Duties? Can they be incorporated into Battlefields? Can they be incorporated into Halos, Assassin's Creed, so on and so forth? Is it going to work? Call of Duty is the guinea pig, but here's the thing. I think that a battle royale mode, such as, to be on the scale that Fortnite or PUBG has, it's going to require a lot of memory, a lot of processing space, which in my opinion is probably why Call of Duty cut their minuscule campaign from this new game. But how's it going to work? How's the reaction going to be if it's mediocre? Like, if it's even close to mediocre, I can guarantee you players are not going to care about it, and they're just going to go back to Fortnite. So it's a test. They're the guinea pigs. If it fails, like, they're taking a huge financial risk with Black Ops 4. And if it fails, like, this could be the first Call of Duty game that sells significantly less than the other Call of Duty games.
That's true, and that's definitely something we're going to keep an eye on right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. That's for sure. And of course, we've got Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out later that month, which I know you and I and the rest of I guess the gaming community is going to be keeping an eye on. And can they go ahead and strike again the success that they had, not only with the last Red Dead Redemption, which was a critical and also commercial success, but since then they released Grand Theft Auto 5, and that's closing in on 100 million in sales. It's closing in more quickly on 100 million shipped, but it will be at some point in time above 100 million in sales in and of itself. And while no one's expecting 100 million sales for Red Dead Redemption 2, there has still been a high bar set as far as where this game needs to go to be something that Rockstar can be proud of.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and I feel like Red Dead, it kind of goes without saying that the masses are going to play this game. Like at this point, I don't really have much to say about it that I haven't said before, but the masses are going to play it. I'm going to play it. Is it going to live up to the expectations that gamers have? Who knows? But what they do have working for them is the fact that there aren't a lot of games made in the Western open world genre. Like, I think that they are actually the only franchise in that genre. So, really, all they have to worry about at this point is the idea of, can they live up to the original? And I'm not talking about Red Dead Revolver, but can they live up to the hype of the original Red Dead Redemption? And really, like, at this point, their competition is themselves.
Sorry. That's some actually very, very pointed words by Josh Peterson. Once again, we have been previewing the video game scene coming up for the rest of 2018. At the back end of our show here, we're going to be talking about the months of November. At the back end of the show, we're going to be talking about the months of November and December. We definitely going to be delving into Battlefield a little bit more coming up later in the program. Coming up, though, here in a bit, right after the break, we've got our good friend Rob McCallum coming back in the middle of the Cosmic Crossfire. He's going to be talking about the new Terminator that's on the way and also the new Top Gun movie, and which do we want to see more. That's coming up right after the break. And later on, we've got Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Pater podcast. He's going to share his last-minute thoughts for those just going to go ahead and going to be taking care of their picks in one of their final or their only draft that's coming up just in the nick of time, just before the season starts for your fantasy football needs. He's going to be talking about he's going to be giving some last minute tips for you out there. So check that out later in the program as well. This is the PCC Multiverse. Sorry, just answering a text. So hold on. I know this is great radio, isn't it? All right. And we're back with a PCC Multiverse. Just want to make sure everybody knows out there, if you need a listing of where we're at, whether it's on one of our radio stations that plays our shows 7 days a week on either over-the-air or online radio, or one of our many podcast outlets. In fact, we've counted over 30, and there might actually be a lot more. We don't know, but we stopped at 30 because it got kind of exhausting. Just check it out today at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. Also, as well, you can check out some of it as well on our Pop Culture Cosmo on Twitter. Or if you just want to send us a message or just check up on the latest pop culture news, just got to go ahead and check it out. Like I said, Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook and at Pop Culture Cosmo on Twitter. Josh, I know you got a great thing going on with Humanica Media, so spill the beans, my friend. What's the latest and greatest with Topicocalypse and, of course, Humanica Media?
We've actually been kind of slow on the recording this week, so we got a couple of band interviews that have gone up. We've talked to, or more specifically, I talked to Pat and Kyle of the band Keys, and if you're interested in the band Pierce the Veil, it just so happens that the lead singer of Keys is the nephew of Vic Fuentes of Pierce the Veil. So, if you're interested in the emo, screamo, post-hardcore scene, Keys is definitely a band you want to check out. You can listen to their new single Floating Room today on YouTube, Dreambound, iTunes, and Apple Music. Also, just this morning, I put up an interview with Callum Reed of the band Stasis. And Stasis is a melodic hardcore band taking influences from bands like Heart and Hand, Counterparts, Hundredth, Capsize, etc. And we kind of talk about what goes into the creative process, the music scene in Canada, what it's like to be a melodic hardcore band in 2018. Just a lot of good stuff. So if you're a music fan, these are definitely 2 episodes you do want to check out. And we kind of dive into the idea of vulnerability for bands and creatives and all kinds of stuff. So it's a good thing to check out.
I could just see you interviewing. And actually, I'm going to check it out here. I caught your first one with Keys, but I just wanted your second one. I'm just sure that there's some point in time in the interview that you said, "So, what's it like to be a melodic hardcore band in 2018?"
I kind of did ask it just like that. So that's actually pretty spot on. Well done.
So tell me. Anyways, that you got to check that out. It's going to be on the Topicocalypse channel that is available on Podbean, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So we're continuing our preview for video games for the rest of 2018. It's been a great conversation so far. We've got a lot of great games that we've talked about already for the months of September and October. I'll tell you what, if you have not recovered from playing Call of Duty and you're still just like focused in on Red Dead Redemption 2 or any of the games that came out in September, you're still working on that. Guess what? November is coming on the way, and there's still some stuff to talk about there because that's also a big time of the year for sales. Holiday sales start, of course. We've got Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all generating a huge amount of income. And I'll tell you what, right now, you've got a lot of great games that are still left on the plate for the rest of the year. Grip is coming out on 11/6, on November 6th. You've got Hitman 2, that's also coming out on November 9th. Spyro, the Reignited Trilogy, that's coming out on the 13th. Fallout 76, another major entry in the Fallout series from Bethesda. This one's going to be more multiplayer centric. That one is coming out on the 14th. And get this, what we talked about a little bit before at the beginning of the show, Battlefield 5 comes out, has been moved to come out 2 days after. That's coming out on the 16th, just 2 days after Fallout 76. Seems like they're not as afraid of Fallout 76 as they were coming out just before Red Dead Redemption 2. But we'll talk about that in a sec. On the 16th, you've also got a great Pokemon game, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Both those games, those games are coming out 11/16/2018. Farming Simulator comes out on the 20th. Omen of Sorrow, that comes out on the 27th. And Darksiders 3 also comes out on November 27th. Not as many titles coming out in November, but there's still a couple big titles to talk about. The one thing I don't want people to forget is the Pokemon games, the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee games that are coming out with the Pokemon name attached. Those are games that should not be forgotten about because, like you were talking about with Nintendo base and the hardcore fans that they have, that's going to be one that people need to key on. Especially after the success of Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I agree. It's it's kind of the Pokemon's first foray into legitimate console gaming and not just something mobile. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. What the footage that I saw at E3 looked great, and just hearing people talk about it looks great. It's I think Nintendo was smart in basically they're making Pokemon Go or Let's Go an experiment. How are these mechanics going to work on a big console with the motion controls?
Is it 2 games or 1 game?
There's 2 games. So kind of like how you get a Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yeah, that's what I was equating it to, and that's what I've always thought it would be since they announced it. I only got to see a little bit of the footage so far, so I was equating it to, like I said, Gold, Silver, Red, Blue.
Right,
so many years that we've seen Pokemon games come out in the past.
Yeah, so for years, Nintendo's been trying to make Eevee like a flagship Pokemon, but people just don't relate Eevee relate to Eevee on a scale that they relate to Pikachu. So they're trying to kind of sell Eevee as a mascot at this point. But back to the actual gameplay itself, I love the idea of, you are fighting trainers, but when you fight Pokemon in the wild, it's either you capture them or you move on with your journey. So that's kind of cool. It kind of saves time. We haven't really seen a lot of like the experience system, how that's going to work. So I'll be keen to see how that goes. But they're smart in the fact that they're releasing this kind of test game before they put out an actual entry in the franchise, which is expected to release in 2020. So, good for them. I'm excited to see how it goes. I will play it personally. What is your interest level in this game?
It's pretty solid, and for someone who has a couple of big time Pokemon Go fans here in my daughters, I think this is going to be something that they can migrate to. That's going to be something of great interest to them because they do have a great interest in the Pokemon franchise. So actually, I am interested to see how successful this game is because I think it will be a very, very good seller for Nintendo. Don't ever underestimate the Pokemon series. I think people did before and underestimated just how successful Pokemon Go could be. And of course, we saw with the craze and national attention and news attention, it was probably the last game besides Fortnite to get that kind of attention on a public scale that it did because everybody was going crazy for it. I think this is going to be something that's a nice follow-up to it. It's going to be something that a lot of people are looking forward to on the Switch. And the Pokemon series back for the mobile, back for the Game Boys and DSs and whatnot, when they came out with Gold and Silver, Red and Blue, et cetera, was it Gold and Platinum, or was it Silver and Platinum? Gold and Silver. Okay, it was Gold and Silver.
Yeah, Gold and Silver.
And then what came out with Platinum?
Platinum was the kind of add-ons of Gold and Silver, if I remember correctly.
Okay. So Gold and Silver, Red and Blue, that type of deal, those really were solid sellers continuously for many, many, many months. Kids were coming each and every day to buy it after months and months where other games were just gone by the wayside and already hit the clearance bin. The Pokemon games endured, and I believe this will happen again with this version coming to the Let's Go versions coming to the Nintendo Switch. I think these will be solid sellers continuously, and I think they could actually be a top 10 selling game overall. If not the Eevee, then I definitely think the Let's Go Pikachu could definitely be something that might sneak into the top 10 and be a very strong seller for the Nintendo Switch. I want to ask you one more thing when it comes to November, my friend. Like we said, Battlefield 5 has moved to November 16th, just 2 days after Fallout 76. So obviously they're not intimidated with what's going on being behind or just after Fallout 76. They were placed originally in mid-October, just after Call of Duty Black Ops 4. So tell me a little bit more about your thoughts when you heard this switch happen as far as Battlefield going to a mid-November slot behind Fallout 76. Do you think this is a targeted move, or do you think this is a development move because they needed a little bit more time to work on the game?
I honestly don't think that Fallout 76 is going to be doing as well as everybody thinks that it is. It's going to be a fun game, but it's kind of a weird venture for Bethesda, as in the fact that Elder Scrolls Online was a very successful game, but Fallout 76 is a whole different beast in itself. And they're not in competition with anybody. They're not, but it's going to be an interesting experiment in the fact that how are people going to react to it? Is it going to be something that really catches players? Are they going to get in there? Are they going to get tired of it really fast? Because
are they going to treat it like a true Bethesda game, like a true experience, like the Elder Scrolls or the other iterations in the Fallout series?
Right. So according to, the studio heads at Bethesda, you can play Fallout 76 by yourself. there is value in the single player community, but it's one of those games where they really encourage you to play it with people. And anytime you bring people into a game, as I've discussed with Sea of Thieves, there is a huge potential for trolling. So Fallout 76 is not a natively single player game, which is going to be interesting because how is that experience going to turn out? Is it going to be something that's fun to play by yourself? Do you have to play with friends? How is the community going to react? There's so many questions with Fallout 76 because there's so many variables that are unknown at this point. As for Battlefield 5, they have the favor of people who are looking to play a single player experience in that genre. So I think Battlefield 5 is going to do okay. November 20th is a safe release date for it because you'd hope by the fact that Red Dead comes out mid October, that by the time that
And Battlefield 5 is coming out the 16th, just like I said, 2 days after Fallout 76.
yeah, so you'd hope. I think the idea is by giving people 2 weeks to play Red Dead Redemption, Battlefield's kind of in a prime position to kind of be that game, the next game, the next evolution of gaming season. So who knows, man? I don't think Battlefield 5 is in any danger of not selling well, especially because Battlefield is one of those games that has consistently been on sale on Black Friday. But Fallout 76 is the one that people should be concerned about because it's the wild card here. Nobody really knows how to react to it. Nobody really knows what it's going to be like. I think the reviews coming out the gates are going to be rough, but it's also a game that Bethesda can tweak and moderate and fix as it goes along.
We hit December now, and December is not going to be for a lack of titles. I remember back in the day, my friend, when December, pretty much outside of maybe a Nintendo release here and there, was pretty much given up for dead as far as a month is concerned. Now, there's some games that are listed on several websites as being as coming out possibly on the 31st. That's just a placeholder date, and I don't think any of those games are really coming out. So we're just going to focus on the 3 games that have definite dates earlier in the month that are going to capitalize still on the holiday season, and that is Override Mech City Brawl that's coming out on the 4th, Just Cause 4 from Square Enix that's also coming out on the 4th, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that's coming out on the 7th. I'm going to ask you, my friend, Just Cause 4 coming out on December 4th, I think is really puzzling to me. I think that should have been a November or a spring release. I think that should have been delayed to the spring. I just don't think it's a strong enough title for it to stand up to every other one of these big, huge AAA games that are going to come out. I think it stands a lot like another Square Enix game in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, in that it might fall under the weight of all those heavy titles to come out. I think it actually, of the two, might actually garner less acclaim and less sales, even in the holiday season, than Shadow of the Tomb Raider because of the, I guess, the lesser known property. Also, as well, the fact that it's just coming out at a time where I think only Nintendo games really have survived and thrived really to any extent. Is Square Enix, Just Cause is Square Enix, right? Or is it Ubisoft?
Square Enix.
Yeah, Square Enix. That's what I thought. Yeah. See, I got it right the first time. And then you have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. That's something I thought that should have come out in November, just before the Black Friday season, because I thought that would be really great to have that game come out. They're doing bundles, which is something I've longed for that they should have done a long time ago with the previous iteration, which I was really just roasted over when it came to the Wii U version of Super Smash Brothers. I thought they should have done a console version there. It looks like they're going to be able to do that now with a Super Smash Brothers Ultimate that's going to come out. Not only the game, like I said, but a Switch bundle, if I'm not mistaken, is coming out that's going to include a Pro Controller as well. So that's something I think is long overdue for the system. I welcome it. I think it's going to do well, but I'm just puzzled, man, that Nintendo seems to love that first week of December sales, And instead of just trying to sneak it in on the last week of November, just before Thanksgiving type deal. And your thoughts also as well on that, but also as well Just Cause 4 coming out in December. Doesn't it seem very puzzling to you that this game is coming out Just Cause 4 in early December, and something that should have come out maybe a little bit later in 2019?
Yeah, I think Just Cause 4 is prime for a spring release date, but they have the quarterly profits. I think that was kind of important to Square at this point. But yeah, Just Cause 4, I don't have a lot of interest in it. As someone who hasn't played any of the other games, I've watched footage of the other games, but even like if they were remastered and I had the opportunity to start from scratch, I don't it's just not interesting to me. It's not something that in the midst of gaming season that I would be willing to, like, number 4 in a series of games in the midst of gaming season would not be something that I'd be willing to dive into. Whereas like look at something like Far Cry 5 came out in the spring. That's a whole other story in itself. Like I love the idea of diving into Far Cry when I didn't have a huge backup of games to play. So Just Cause 4, it's coming out at the wrong time. If anything, I think it should have been released in August. I think that would have been a good, solid release date for that, and maybe gave it the opportunity to gain a little momentum before Red Dead comes out. Okay, so here, what was the other one? Was
Well, I want to say this in regards to, I agree with you a lot on when it comes to Just Cause 4, but the bundles that are being offered with Super Smash Brothers Ultimate are just a controller and the game only. Unfortunately, they still are avoiding bundles, and they think they can just sell the Switch outright. And the Switch looks like it will be poised to be the game system that people are keying in on as far as the most this holiday season. So I guess I can't blame them. I was hoping for a bundle. It would have been nice to get something at around $350 for a bundle like that. But hey, at this point in time, the bundles that they are offering are going to be just a Pro controller and the game only, but that will be sold, I believe, in the European and United States markets.
Here's my thoughts on Super Smash Brothers. It's going to make me wildly unpopular. I think that Smash Brothers is one of the most overhyped games ever created, because everyone loves the idea of having a big brawler where you can, make your favorite Nintendo characters fight each other. But what does it have to offer? It's just a brawler. And if modern gaming trends have proven anything, is that brawlers are fun, but they don't last with the people because you can't really immerse yourselves into them. So I think that Super Smash Bros. Is going to sell well among Nintendo fanboys, but I don't think it's going to do really anything to reach outside of that demographic.
I disagree a little bit. I think it's going to sell well. I don't think it's I don't think it is as big a seller as Mario Odyssey or Zelda, but I do think it is going to be a solid system seller in and of itself this holiday season. I'm just curious, again, something like that, why it's not coming out 10 days earlier. Just makes excuse me, 2 weeks earlier just makes very little sense to me. Get that big time rush of sales, because a lot of people are going to be keying in on video games when it comes to the sales that are going to be taking place during the Black Friday session. But it's still the holiday season, and I know a lot of Super Smash Bros. Ultimates will be coming out and will be selling out that first week of December, and also going forward at least until the end of the year, and probably a little bit ways as well. I am not as harsh on the Super Smash Brothers series as you are. I think it's been a favorite of the fans that are out there. Do I think it's going to be at the level of the previous Zelda and Super Mario Odyssey like last year? No, but I still think it's going to be a strong seller. It's not exactly the greatest lineup for Nintendo this fall, but I think when it comes to Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, there's just enough there to get people interested. And I still think at this point in time, the Nintendo Switch is going to be the game system that's going to sell the most this holiday season. Your thoughts on which game system might sell the most? Do you agree with me on the Switch, or do you think the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, PlayStation 4 Pro, or the PlayStation 4 still has something left up its sleeve?
No, I totally agree. The Switch is going to be the one that outsells everything because you think about Xbox and PlayStation, while they do have big games coming out, neither of them has any like holiday exclusives that is going to be drawing people to them anytime soon. And with the rumors that the next consoles are going to be released in what 2019 to 2020, whatever it is, it's just what Xbox went big with their E3 conference. Sony decided to minimize, but neither console has anything that's worth being a launch, not a launch, but being a bundle title because everything that Xbox announced, most of the things that Xbox announced are big hits for the Xbox Games Pass. So why there's no point in buying like a Forza Horizon 4 Xbox bundle because you're gonna get it on Xbox Games Pass no matter what. So I feel like Nintendo does have stuff to offer, especially with Pokemon. They're in a prime position because people do love Pokemon, but as far as the other two go, I don't think that there's anything coming out that's worth investing into a special edition to get.
Well, that's going to be our that's our preview of the video game season for the rest of 2018. If you have your thoughts on which games you're targeting or which games you think are really going to do well and which games you really think are not going to do so well the rest of 2018, we'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd love to get your feedback on it. In fact, we'll talk about it here on the show if you wish as well. That's popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. So, my friend, it's been a great episode. I do want to thank Rob McCallum stepping in once again into the middle of the Cosmic Crossfire. Also as well, Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Pager podcast. We got a little clip. We got to spend some time on today's show with him. He's also coming up, I believe, as well later this weekend for our Monday show to talk a little bit more about it. But for our full extended conversations on fantasy football, stay tuned to the Pop Culture Cosmos channel, and we'll be talking about that. And we'll be having his editions of the Fantasy Football Pager podcast in full on our Pop Culture Cosmos channel on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so many other outlets. Before I head on out, I just want to go ahead and tell everybody again and let everybody know it's going to be a big weekend for the professional wrestling scene. I was trying to get someone in here to talk more about it, but before we on and out, I hope everybody will get a chance to enjoy, for all those pro wrestling fans out there, the independent show that everybody has been talking about for some months now. It's called All In. It's going to include a lot of wrestlers from different organizations, Ring of Honor, and so many others that are going to be coming in there, coming as one into the Chicago area. It's going to be a great time indeed. The Bullet Club has coordinated this and done a great job in doing so. They've sold out the arena, 11,000 plus, doing what many thought could not be done. And in fact, is going to be, I guess, people saying it's the biggest independent wrestling card of all time. If it's not, then it's definitely the largest independent wrestling card, at least in the past, well, at least this century. So that's something to be proud of. That's something to look forward to. And if you get a chance, check out the pre-show on WGN America coming up on Saturday. And then also as well, check out if you're really interested, it's a $40 pay-per-view. So you check that out as well. I'm sure it will live up to all expectations. And here's hoping that it's going to be a big success for all wrestling fans, because I know definitely that a lot of wrestling fans are looking forward to it. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.